Alrighty, so kicking off the 1970s, first and foremost, Led Zeppelin came out with their song, Immigrant Song. And it's infamous. Infamous, and it's like the perfect revenge song, the perfect pushback song, the perfect this is the song that that I guess made people just angry. This is the one that you want to feel power. This is that song. So this is a perfect song for me, at least, to introduce the 70s, because we have the pushback of gay and queer people through the United States. And I'm only speaking about the United States because we're only in the US right now. There's only so much I know outside of the US, but Americans everywhere are just tired. We are tired. We are hungry. We are pushing back. We want our rights. We are queer and we are here, honey. I'm having too much fun with this. And this song is so influential. It actually inspired Wonder Woman's intro song from the DC universe, cinematic universe. It's one of the movies. I don't watch it. I just only watched Wonder Woman, and I just gotta say that every time her theme song comes on, it's just, oh, it's good. That's the power, the power. Here I go back with power. Richard Nixon was president during the first half of the 70s, right? And the Beatles disband, the infamous band that everyone loved during the 70s, right? Yellow Submarine and such. They announced their disbandment, right, in 1970. Remember, where we left off in the 60s was with war, both literally and figuratively. The pushback of queer people with Stonewall, and also, the country just as a whole loves being in war, I guess, right? So, signed in 1971, the 26th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution lowered the voting age to 18 from 21, because remember, we were in wars a lot. So the people fighting in these wars were 18-year-olds that were drafted into this. Queer film was ruling the underground avant-garde experimental filmmaking scene, right? Additionally, though, we get a huge rise of queer people in the independent filmmaking scene, right? So the year after the Stonewall riots on June 28th, 1970, thousands of people marched the streets of Manhattan from the Stonewall Inn to Central Park, creating what was America's first gay pride. We see queer people continuing fighting for rights, visibility, respect, and also continue to push the boundaries of film through the 70s. In film, right? The Godfather came out in 1972. Roe v. Wade, right? Which is not a film. Roe v. Wade also happened in 1973. Gerald R. Ford became president, Republican, in 1974. So this is when Nixon left, right? I think he was facing some impeachment, right? And Jaws came out in 1975. And then we have the Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1975. So it is based on the play that's almost kind of like the same name. It's actually called The Rocky Horror Show. And when it got picked up to be a movie, then they renamed it or called it The Rocky Horror Picture Show because it's a moving picture, right? Richard O'Brien wrote The Rocky Horror Show and helped write The Rocky Horror Picture Show. And Richard O'Brien is also gender fluid in just their queerness. They're a very gender fluid person. It's an independent movie. It was received pretty negatively. And it's camp by definition. By the definition of camp, it is Rocky Horror Picture Show because it is an exaggeration. And by this, I mean it is a exaggeration. The entire movie, themes and all. Majority of the people, right? The public, they weren't fond of such thing. They were they don't understand, right? Straight people won't understand this type of medium at times. Additionally, it had themes of sexual liberation, androgyny, and it's also very punk. And in case you did not know, punk and queerness go hand in hand. They are one in the same. It's literally the same coin, just different faces. Punk rock embraces this abject status of being rejected, right? And it celebrates and rejects the same society that rejects it, right? And so, queer people being kicked out of their homes, queer people not being welcomed, you know, queer people going through suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So they, as they were rejected out from their homes, they found their new families within these subcultures. Remember the subcultures? They found homes within punk rock. So, in other words, punk is queer. Also, in some way, queer cinema is a branch from queer theater, because we begin to see queer cinema take from queer theater, like theater. I don't even know how to say it. Excuse me. I have an accent, okay? Spanish is my first freaking language, okay? So, yes, queer theater is... Queer cinema is a branch from queer theater, and queer cinema takes from queer theater. So you could take away the spotlight, babe, but you can't take away the stage. Is what it is. You could take away the spotlight from the film for queer people, but what you will not take is the stage. So there's a lot of queerness in theater. So I'm not too much into the theater aspect of that, but I do know that queer cinema and queer theater are cousins. So a very new extreme people were being exposed to. All these things make it a very important film in queer history and queer film. And before the international cult following this movie was eventually to come to, it was also eventually picked up by a major distribution company that was 20th Century. And it was made by the gays, for the gays, the queers, you know, the queens. Queerness is the literal roots of this movie. But what made the movie get this like cult following was it was promoted as a midnight movie. And that's how it got its following, right? When people were just like, "Oh, let's watch this, you know, this crazy movie, right? Let's go watch this, you know." And then people would go watch it, and you know, it's supposed to be like a scary time, right? Scary time. What am I talking about? I'm literally trying to put myself in like the 1970s right now. By like people going to movie theater, right? Because again, movie theaters was just a thing to do or with your friends, and you know, of course we do it now, but I don't think it is how it was back then. I don't know. I think still going to movies is still the same, but it's just like the way how people went is different. And I don't know if I should. I think I'll probably make a whole entire like video essay on like how watching movies or going to theaters has like changed through the years. But regardless, you know, still in the 70s, you know, people went to the movie theaters to go, you know, watch it. And then people saw this thing where it was like, oh, you know, it was the midnight. What was it? Hold on, I lost myself. It was the midnight, it was promoted as a midnight movie, and that's how it got its huge following. Moving forward, Jimmy Carter, a Democrat, became president in 1977, all the way up until 1981. Elvis Presley died on August 16th, 1977. Another major movie that came out was Star Wars in 1977. And remember that queer film is now entering this independent film scene by making their own stories and showing real stories at that, right? Through independent films and documentaries. So Gay USA and Word Is Out, both films came out in 1977, the same year as Star Wars. And because of the lack of real representation, just like our own avant-garde experimental films that only we understood and independent films that told our real-life stories, queer people created a place for these films to be showcased. And again, in 1977, we had the very first gay film festival. People were reclaiming their history. In the 70s, the whole idea of coming out and announcing to your family at that, right, that you're gay in American families began to emerge much more, right? So visibility, right? You know, people are coming out more. People are not scared. People aren't or going to be scared. People are just gonna be who they are, right? Be who you are. I can't. Okay. So we had our own, you know, we had our own language, our own inside jokes, and our own films that only people who knew the insiders could fully enjoy.
Eternally. No way. I'm straight. I mean, I like a lot of queers, but I don't think they're equipment, you know? I like women.
But you could change. Queers are just better. I'd be so proud if you was a fag and had a nice beautician boyfriend. I'd never have to worry.
There ain't nothing to worry about.
I worried that you work in an office. have children, celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexual is a sick and boring life.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little girls who went to the police academy.
So, also, TV was filled with queer imagery like Boy Wonder and Batman, Jane Hathaway from the Beverly Hills Hillbillies, Captain Hook and Peter Pan, Wonder Woman, Charlie's Angels, The Brady Bunch, and anything the straights were honestly enjoying, there was a queer person behind it. Oh, Billy Crystal plays one of the first gay characters on American television, named Jody Dallas in an American sitcom Soap. Why do they call it Soap? I guess because it's a soap opera? I don't know. Queer people were just tired of the lack of representation. We are pushing forward for it. We were just really tired of being tied to all these subcultures and all these things and all these themes, but where these themes come from weren't again allowed to be shown or not really allowed to be talked about. But no, that's it. No more. No mas. We are here. We are queer. All right? Get used to it. As I was saying, punk is very queer. There's also disco. Disco has its queerness in it, right? And all these subcultures through the 70s of just people, pushing back of these just terrible, American values, right? People don't want these. People don't like this, all right? The youth does not want this, all right? Disco was at its height. Donna Summer was at the height of her career, or either started, and she had her, just her the height of disco. Like when you think of disco, you think of Donna Summer, and it's very liberating. It's very queer. It's sexually liberating at that. It's especially with her song on "Love to Love You, Baby," where she's literally just moaning, in the microphone. She's having fun. And not only that, disco. It's so hard to put someone in a trance like that, And what I mean by the audience being put in a trance, because, you also have the instruments. Everything about disco is for lack of a better use of words, it's fucking you. All right, the instruments are fucking you. Donna Summer is fucking you. All of it, it's all there. It's in your ear. It's in a trance. Baby. Let me tell you. I love listening to disco, especially nowadays, because it's so hard listening to some good disco at some good club nowadays. Like, I am obsessed. Do not get me started. So, where are the straights? Where are the heteros? Where are the straight white people of America? The majority, the Christian Catholic values, and we do not like the queers. They do not like black people. They do not like Latin people unless they're very white, So, or Spanish, right? Nationality Spanish. But where are they? I'll let you know. They're still not minding their own fucking business, because we have the burning of the disco tracks that happened in 1979. Right? It happened in 1979. Hold on. So on July 12th, 1979, these people hated disco so much, they went to the Major League Baseball, right? And they started burning disco records, vinyl. Like they went to the baseball field, they said, "No más, no more. We hate disco and everything it represents, the liberation, the blackness, the queerness. We do not want it. We do not like it." So that is what is happening. That is what the straights are preaching, hateful as ever. And finishing off the 70s, one of my favorite movies, Alien, comes out in 1979. And then we also have the Iran hostage crisis begins. You know, there's the hostage theme here. Is definitely adding to that good old American war, PTSD. You know, definitely adds to the anxiety, right? That's in American culture. Mind you, there weren't, you know, with all the visibility, right? With all due respect, there still wasn't a lot of like gay romance, right? That the girls can be watching, right? So a form of queerness is trying to find that representation where it was hard to find, you know, with the white heterosexual love stories, right? Within the queer themes, right? What queer themes were in these heterosexual love stories. The gay movement was starting to gain more and more attention. Hollywood started to notice. And then as we approach the 80s, the girls, and what I mean, the girls, the people, the higher ups, the producers, the Hollywood companies, you know, in the 80s, they started to throw the bone. They were like, you know what, let's throw a bone to the dogs, you know, because let's just try it out. And in the 80s, they made their own films, which we'll get into when we get into the 80s. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my video on the sexy 70s, this deep dive on queer history, but just, you know, queer film history of the 70s. I really appreciate you all for watching, you know, this video. I'm really passionate about this, and I really hope that it shows. I'm really excited to get into the 80s with you all, and I hope that you all are excited for the next video on, you know, queer film history of the 1980s. And, you know, videos will take a little bit longer to produce because, you know, we got to go into the deep dives. I got to get all the footage. I got to do all the research. I mean, I've done half of the research because this was a college assignment. But, you know, I wanted to make sure I get really, really deep into the nitty gritty of stuff, right? I really want to make sure that we get deep down into this. But if you all like this video, and if you've seen any of the films that I mentioned today, make sure you guys comment down, like the video, and follow me for some more queer history. And I will see you all when we talk about queer film history of the 1980s.